Hello everyone and welcome back to Dark Magical Gaming. Today's style of video is going to be a little bit different from anything that I have ever done before in the past. Today we are going to be talking about other YouTubers and other influencers that are Dark Magician players and the unrealistic standards for deck building that they have set within the Dark Magician community. So starting things off here, this is the list of my friend Ryan. I actually played this exact same build this past weekend at a 3v3, and I can say that this is the best build for Dark Magician that I have ever piloted. So shoutouts to you, Ryan, master deck builder when it comes to Dark Magician, bro. No one else quite like you, man. Definite congrats. But we're going to come back to Ryan's build a little bit later in this video. We're going to start off with Sam from Team Samurai X1, and full disclaimer about this video, I am not making this to bash or talk down upon anyone that is included in this video. I just want to point out a few things in a couple of these videos that are alarming to me about the way that the influencers give out information about this deck to the community as a whole, because when you have subscribers like 428,000, naturally people are going to listen to you more than they would someone like me or my friend LOZA, because we don't even have 1,000 yet. But whether you have one subscriber or you have 300,000, it doesn't matter if you're not giving information that's not correct. So we're going to start off here with one of the main points I want to make about Dark Magicians. So let's just listen to what Sam has to say.
One dogmatic Ecclesia, absolutely amazing. Next off, for your spells, triple copies of Dark Magical Circle. This card is absolutely phenomenal. It's your popularity for the deck.
This is a explanation I hear very often, that Dark Magical Circle is a mandatory 3 of because it is Pot of Duality for the deck. And unfortunately, by 2021 Yu-Gi-Oh! Standards, this is just simply not true. Pot of Duality will always guarantee adding you one card, as long as the card resolves. Dark Magical Circle, however, does not guarantee that. I agree that we theoretically should be able to play 3 of this card, and it always resolve, and we always get a card from it, but it's just simply not like that. This card is inherently flawed in the fact that it cannot add monsters that include Dark Magician in the card text. It only adds spells and traps, or it can add Dark Magician himself. It doesn't even add Dark Magician Girl, so inherently flawed. This card by 2021 standards is just not the same as it was when this card released. It is targeting banishment that requires you to summon a vanilla monster. And this card, I think, is a maximum 2 of in 2021 Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot of people would disagree with me, but this card is most certainly not a 3 of anymore. Something that Sam says in his extra deck right here is also something that bothers me, and you're going to hear that right now.
Until he gets banned, right? Next off, the one Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. I usually make this often. If I have like 5 back row, I want to find a way to protect the back row.
So what he says here is that with Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, he normally makes this card often, he says, if he has a full back row. That's actually not possible within this deck's archetype. There is no way to make this card and still have 5 set back row. And especially in Sam's build, there's no way to make this card, period. He has to have Secrets of Dark Magic and Red Eyes Black Dragon. And if you have that, most time you're going for Dragoon. Because if you have Dark Magician, Secrets of Dark Magic, and Red Eyes Black Dragon, that's 3 cards that you're going to have to use to make this guy. And that only leaves you with 2 cards. And to make this card actually good, you have to have Eternal Soul. So even if you had the Dream and you had the Eternal Soul, you only have one other offensive card. You know, like, this card is just going to get just destroyed. Like, decks can get over 3,000. It's not going to just be able to just sit there and just camp on this card, you know, turn after turn after turn. I do agree that theoretically, I think that this card is better than Dragoon. A lot of people do not agree with me on this, but if you really think about it, if this deck had a way to summon this card, if this deck had a Shaddoll fusion for this card, it would be better than Dragoon, especially when you have this card with Eternal Soul. It is a soft lock. All of your back row can't be destroyed. It can't be targeted. and they essentially never get over this guy as long as you have the means to be able to protect it from getting attacked over. Because like they can attack over it with something, you use Eternal Soul to bring it back, and they chain something and pop Soul. Theoretically, we should have a way to bring this card out. We do not. He does not actually even use Imduck in his extra deck, so the only way he can summon this card is through drawing Red Eyes Black Dragon, which just is not correct. Unsearchable Red Eyes. He also says something in the rest of his extra deck that is alarming to me as well, about where I was talking about spreading falsified information, especially to, like, I feel like Sam's main target audience are casual players and players that are just now getting into the game. Maybe some people watch him to get an idea, like a template on the deck that they want to build. I need at least these cards. I need this card. I can take this card out and play something else. But this right here is important.
One Big Eye and one Zeus is all you need for the Xyz monster in your extra deck. Big Eye steal card, make Zeus pretty much game.
So he says that you make Big Eye, you steal a card, and then you make Zeus. Unless you're taking an XYZ with Big Eye, this just simply isn't possible, because Big Eye can't attack the turn you use the effect to steal something. So this 6-0 deck, there was a lot of controversy about this, because apparently there were comments on his Twitter about how he didn't actually go 6-0 and he just made this video. I don't know if that's true. I wasn't there. I can't confirm or deny. Those are my main issues with this deck, and the fact he's not playing Artemis, but we'll leave that for another time. Or Imduck, because I think if you play Secrets, I think you always play Imduck. But we're going to move on to another video with Dark Arm Duelist, and my friend LOZA has already talked about all of these decks, but I just want to reiterate this.
The Dark Magician.
Yeah,
This
so...
card is so important for the deck. It's easily brought out with cards like Eternal Soul, and it just gets so many buffs for all the cards that we play in this deck, and you've got to play 3 copies of this card.
You never play 3 copies of this card, okay? Like, it's not the worst card to incorporate in your deck, okay? Like, I have to say, I played 3 for a very long time because of people like this that say you have to play 3 in the deck when you only need 2. The OCG only plays 1, and I realize that that is because they don't have Dragoon, but you don't need 3 of this card in your Dark Magician deck. You just do not. 2 is more than plenty.
A single copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon, making
Yeah,
it super
so we're going to
easy
fast
go
forward.
is destroyed.
So you see, if he's playing 40 cards, he's already playing 6 bricks in his deck. The OCG plays Mahad, but I feel like the OCG gets away with that because they don't have to play Red Eyes. So the spot of this brick is taken with this brick.
Right, which is absolutely insane. We then play
If you
2
could get this
copies
card to
of
resolve
Illusion-
a lot, then I guess he's okay. Apprentice, I mean, sure, this is fine. I don't normally incorporate this card much unless I really want an extender. The boost effect is probably the most relevant effect of that card, but we'll talk more about that later. And then we'll see here that the last monster in his deck that he's playing is Jester Confit, which isn't bad. I've incorporated this before. It's just an extender to go into Verde. The Sky Striker package is just so much better than Jester Confit, though, when you really look at it, as being a 1-card Verde, where this card still requires 2 cards. So, if we go to his spells... Actually, we missed a big point of this deck, I'm sorry. He's playing Keeper of Dragon Magic, which, believe me, I wish we had a main deck dragon that was good. So that we had ways to make Dragoon easier and ways to make Dragon Knight easier, but we just don't. The best main deckable dragon we have, besides Red Eyes, is Phantasme, which is, if the meta allows me to play Phantasme, I always play Phantasme because of that reason. But Keeper of Dragon's Magic as a card, it's just poorly designed. It inherently is almost always going to get hand trapped. This card loses to Ash, Valor, and Imperm just completely, and you have to discard a card to use the effect. Believe me, I wish this card was good in this deck. I love the artwork. I love this card in theory, but there's just not theory that allows you to play this card at a 2021 Yu-Gi-Oh! In a 2021 Yu-Gi-Oh! Metagame. And in his spell cards, he's playing 1 Dark Magic attack, which I guess right now not a lot is open. Well, some stuff is open back up, so there's not a lot of huge tournaments right now. So if your local meta game is a lot of control, you could play the Dark Magic attack. I don't like how he's only playing one Red Eyes Fusion. This is the best starter. I actually ended up cutting Magical Eyes Fusion. I came to the realization that in this deck, you either pick Magical Eyes or you pick Secrets. You don't play both. It's too bricky. I always pick Secrets because even though Secrets requires more advantage to be able to activate, at least this card is searchable, and at least I can use this card in most cases on turn 1, where Magical Eyes Fusion requires so much setup, and he has Polymerization, which is unfortunately another brick. And he's also playing 3 Dark Magical Circle. More bricks. With a rogue deck, this is stuff that I always tell people. With a rogue deck, if you want to play it competitively, you have to take out the weak links, right? You can't be playing cards that just don't do enough. Like, look at all the cards that he's playing that just require other cards to be good. Every card on this screen requires another card to be good except this. Like, you have to have Dark Magician to be able to activate the Eternal Soul. You have to have monsters to fuse with. You have to have monsters to fuse with. You have to have monsters to fuse with. You have to have Dark Magician. You have to technically have Dark Magician to get the full value of this. Same with this. Like, even if you argue these two don't really need other cards, they need each other to be able to be good. And even still, you can't get Magician Souls off of this card because this only takes spells and traps. And Dark Magician himself. So, like, literally every one of these except for Red Eyes Fusion is just an extender. And they're not even fantastic extenders. Like I said, in a perfect world, I wish this card got a card every single time. Like, we should be able to play enough cards that this gets a card every time. But we just don't. And it doesn't even take monsters other than Dark Magician. It's just so frustrating. And his extra deck is pretty standard for the most part. Like, you can play the XYZs if you want. You can play, like, the links. I just don't have Access Code Talker. I don't have BLS. I feel like in most cases with this particular deck, you don't really have ways to link climb into Access Code. You don't really have ways to link climb into Selene that often. You normally have to already be winning to be able to take advantage of these cards. I'd probably, in my opinion, I'd play this before I'd play this because it is a little bit easier to summon than this. But if you have them, you can play them. There's nothing wrong with it. The only thing that's truly wrong with this extra deck is the fact he doesn't play Artemis. So that's 2 in a row that do not play Artemis. Now we're going to take a look at the best Dark Magician list that I've ever played. Once again, I'm going to reiterate that this is my friend Ryan, who recently got 2nd place at the 3v3 with this build. I played this build at my 3v3 this past weekend. I never bricked a single time. It was absolutely fantastic. Every hand was great. The only changes I made, I added a 43rd card. He was playing 42. I played Secrets of Dark Magic. I didn't play Access Code Selene or Ad Ignister. I played a 2nd Dragoon, an M-Duck, and the Dark Magicians. Only changes I made to the entire list, and it was fantastic. So, like, you look at all of the engines he has, okay? Whenever you are deck building, you have to come up with a deck building plan. What do I want to end on? What is my end game? Like, your end game can't be, I want to be Yugi. I want to summon Dark Magician with no cards left on field and attack for a game. Not unrealistic. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. I wish that could. But you have to come up with a game plan. Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, as much as a lot of people don't want to admit it, is in fact a Dark Magician support card. In the same way that Destiny Hero Destroy Phoenix Enforcer is a hero support card, okay? It finds its way into other decks because of Verde Anaconda, which I kind of wish would just get banned already, but that's a topic for a later video. So Ryan built this deck with one goal in mind, okay? To be able to make his effects be able to go through. Crossout Des is highly debated upon in a lot of decks, to be quite honest with you, especially this deck. But let's analyze really quickly what we would lose to, okay? Naturally, we're using Red Eyes Fusion as a starter here. So, Red Eyes Fusion. What beats Red Eyes Fusion? Ash Blossom. How do we fix this? We have 1 Call by the Grave. That's it. But we also have 3 Crossout Designator. Crossout Designator makes this resolve. Also makes Nadir Servant resolve. Okay, let's say we don't open this. We don't open up Red Eyes Fusion. We open up Crossout. But we open up Souls, and we open up Rod. So where's the end game for this? We're going to end up sending Dark Magician Girl off of this, searching Soul Servant off of this, linking 2 into Verde. We pay 2,000, send Red Eyes Fusion for cost. They chain Effect Veiler. We chain Crossout, or Call by the Grave. We chain Crossout. Banish Veiler, negate their Veiler. We summon Dragoon. We Foolish Burial Dark Magician. We use Soul Servant. We stack. We draw 2. They Imperm. We chain Crossout Designator. Negate it. This is how theory in Yu-Gi-Oh works. You pick a goal. I want my deck to end on Dragoon. I want to back up Dragoon with my Dark Magician engine, with Eternal Soul, with Dark Magical Circle, with Magician Salvation, with Dogmatica Punishment, Nadir Servant. You want to back up Dragoon. Dragoon needs protection. And the best way to make Dark Magician a competitive, viable deck is to take advantage of the best cards, right? You don't want to bring a knife to a gunfight, okay? I'll admit, I love the Dark Magicians. It's my favorite, one of my favorite fusions for the deck. It is good, but it fails in comparison to Dragoon. Dragoon is just fantastic for this deck. Not only does resolving Red Eyes Fusion give you Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, it dumps Dark Magician. It serves 2 primary roles. Guess what? Red Eyes Fusion dumps Dark Magician and Red Eyes. What do you need for Schism? You need a Shadal and a Dark Monster. So if you have this together, you're making Dragoon and Winda. Like, at the least, you're making Dragoon and you're making Winda. And then you hopefully have cards to protect those 2. So, very, very good deck building. Deck building at its finest. And then the Sky Striker package. When you think about this, let's think about this in the sense of when you look at a big tournament, what normally takes like the top, say, 10 spots? So you have to look at Tri-Brigade, Dragon Link, probably Drytron. You can argue like Phantom Knights. All of those decks have 1-card engines. Rescue Cat, Diviner of the Herald, literally any Prank Kids monster, any Dragon Link monster, okay? They all have 1-card engines that get them going. That's why the decks are so good, because 1 card gets you to your entire deck. Dark Magician does not have that. At the most, it takes you 2 cards to be able to start your engine. To really start your engine, you need 2 monsters to make Verde. This kind of compensates for that, because having Engage or Hornet Drones gives you a 1-card Verde. Having 3 Red Eyes Fusion gives you Dragoon. It is the best way to incorporate 1-card combos into a deck that significantly lacks 1-card combos. And in 2021 Yu-Gi-Oh!, that's how you have to win. You're not going to be able to use 4 or 5 card combos. You're not going to be able to just sit on Dark Magician and hope they can't get over it. They're going to get over it. So I really like this deck a lot, and I'm going to be playing the exact same list I played this weekend, which is basically this list with just a few changes going forward, probably until February when we get the new stuff. So yeah, if you want to play competitive Dark Magician, this is what I would go with, or something similar to this. Like, I want to iterate that it's okay to want to play like you're in the anime, okay? Everyone has that dream. Like, my dream is I wish Bond Between Teacher and Student and Dark Burning Magic were good cards. I wish that they were consistent enough to play. I would play them. If you want to play them, that's fine, but you can't be upset when you lose to a good deck, such as Tri-Brigade, Dragon Link, Prank Kids, Drytron, whatever, and say those decks are overpowered when you're not bringing your best weapons to the fight, okay? If you don't want to play Dragoon because it's overpowered, sure, you can make Dark Flare Knight, or you can make the Dark Magicians, or you can make Amulet Dragon, or Dark Cavalry, whatever you want to make, but you can't be upset when you lose because you're not taking advantage of the best cards you could be playing. Dogmatica and Dark Magician literally go together like peanut butter and jelly. They just help each other out so much. This deck this engine makes up for what this deck lacks: consistency and power. So, what do you think about the standards that are set for Dark Magician? Do you agree with the standards of cards like 3 Circle, 3 Dark Magician, Keeper of Dragon's Magic? Do you agree with the way that deck's built? Do you think that deck is better than this deck? Because I know my thoughts, and I know people's thoughts like LOZA and Ryan and Christian. And this is the build that you have to play. You have to play something like this to be able to win in 2021 Yu-Gi-Oh! With Dark Magician. So, join the Dark Magician group on Facebook, Dark Magician Duelist, Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. We're all in that chat group. If you're willing to take advice, we will help you. We'd love to help new people make the deck competitive, talk about the deck, whatever. But you have to take advice, bounce ideas off each other, help each other in any way that we can. So, I look forward to the comments on the video. Please let me know what you think. Do you like videos like this, going into detail about other people's decks and their ideas when it comes to deck building? The Dark Magician Journey is returning very, very soon, so keep a lookout for that. So in conclusion, this is Mike from Dark Magical Gaming, signing out. Until next time, don't forget to play Artemis.